All right, welcome back to What's Up Wednesday. Last week we talked about toe speeds and tires. This week I want to talk a little more about the tires. Didn't go into it a lot last week, so I try to keep these fairly short. But today let's talk about the tires. We talked about last week about the ST tire. Now all tires have a DOT number on them. It tells you when they were made. So every tire has a birth date, and 6 years from that birth date, that tire is no good anymore. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care what it feels like. I don't even care what it smells like. But it's after 6 years, it's no good. Me personally, I'm somewhere between 3 and 5, and it really just depends on what I'm doing with the tire. But it's just not worth the safety and maybe tearing something up. It's just not worth the risk to me. So I got some notes here I'm going to go by, so I am cheating just a little bit, but I want to make sure I don't miss anything. Again, it's 6 years from the manufacturer date. To wait any longer than that, it's just gambling with the integrity of the tire, and I'm just not willing to gamble with that, especially with my family. And I like me just as much as I do them, so I'm not willing to do it. So there's a thing that's called, and I got to read this because I can't never remember it, but after 5 years, tires begin experiencing what's called thermo-oxidative degradation. Yeah, that's real easy to say, and I had to read it because I can never remember how to pronounce it. Anyway, it's a chemical reaction in the tire, and that's when they start breaking down, and that's when it starts impacting the safety of the tire. So look on the side of your tires if you're not sure when they were made. There's four numbers on there. The four numbers, when it's broke down, and I'll put a picture of this. I'll put a picture of this in the video. I'll have to go find one and put it in there. But it'll be four numbers, and the first two numbers is the week of the year that the tire was manufactured, and the last two is going to be the last two of the 4-digit year. So let's say the number was 3020. So that would have been the 30th week of 2020. That's how you can tell how old the tire is. And again, manufacturers say 6 years from the date of birth. That is the date of birth. Again, personal preference, I'm somewhere in the 3 to 5 range. I will never go 6. At 6, if they tell you that they're bad at 6, I'm taking them off way before then. Finding your tire size, recommended tire pressure, and other information. So on the B pillar in the doorway, you'll find a sticker, and it'll tell you what the vehicle came with. Okay, a lot of you know, especially these guys that want to tow, and people like me that might be doing something with it a little more severe sometimes, we don't have the tires on there that came with it originally. So when you lift a truck, put bigger tires on it, change a tire, even a manufacturer sometimes, say you change the rating of the tire, like a G or an F or a D, it will make a difference in your tire pressures that goes in that tire. So let's say you bought a truck. Let's just use a half-ton pickup truck. Most of those came with tires on them that cost for 32 to 35 psi. Okay, you put a thicker sidewall on there, and you're going to start ending up with tires that call for 50 psi or 60 psi. In my case, I have a dually. Mine on the truck, when they came on the truck in the door, it says they're 65 psi. However, I have upgraded the tires on my truck. My tires now call for 80 psi. So don't always just assume that whatever vehicle you're driving or towing with, that's the tire pressure that's on the decal in the door jamb. That is probably not correct if the tire doesn't look right. Even with cars can be different, but cars typically are going to be somewhere 35, 41. I think I've seen on some of them, like with these low profile tires. But anyway, they're going to be a lot different than a truck tire. So always be sure that you're reading on the sidewall of the tire that you've actually got on the vehicle, and see what it recommends for a cold pressure. And cold pressure is what you want to go with. Go out and inflate your tires after you've been driving is just going to make the tire pressure high, and then when they cool off, it's going to be low next time you start. So you want to go out before you ever start driving for the day when the tire pressure is cold. That means you haven't been driving it and the tires haven't been heating up. So go out and check it when they're cold. Even if it's 80 degrees outside, it's still a cold tire pressure because they haven't been driven, creating heat. So check them in and then set them to the appropriate PSI. I don't know how often really you should check your tires. I check my tires every other tank of fuel. Now, I visually inspect them every time I stop. I walk around my trailer, I visually inspect the tires. I've even got a handheld laser thermometer, so I can point them at the tire and the wheel and the hub, and I can see if anything is abnormal. I also run a tire pressure monitor system, and it tells me how much pressure is in each tire, what the temperature of it is, that kind of stuff. Also gives me a heads up if I got a problem before it absolutely goes bad. Typically, you can always have one disintegrate on you, but typically it's going to give you a heads up something's up before it happens. So if you don't have a tire pressure monitor system, get you one. And by the way, the ones that are on cars, don't depend on the tire pressure monitor on it, because they typically somewhere around 25% pressure loss is what you got to have before that little light comes on that tells you that you've got a tire problem. Well, at 25%, you got 80 pounds like in mine, and I lose 25%, I'm down to 60 pounds, and I got to tell you, I can feel it at 60 pounds. A little wishy-washy. Wants to start, feels like it's floating around on me instead of being steady planted on the ground. So don't depend on your TPMS lights. If you're not sure about what your car or truck came with, look at the owner's manual. If it's not in the doorway, it should be in the door. And a lot of these tire manufacturers, you can get on their websites and they'll tell you what to put them anyway. Okay, the reason it's important not only for safety is tire pressure is important for fuel efficiency. You know, if you have a underinflated tire, you're going to burn more fuel. Well, burning more fuel equates to a lot more money. So it's a lot easier just to make sure that you're taking care of the tires and getting the best fuel economy. Not only are you getting good fuel economy, you're taking care of the tire. The tire is going to last you longer. None of us enjoy buying tires. Man, they have gotten sky high. So anyway, look at them. I'll go back to and I'll try to find a picture of an overinflated, underinflated tire wear, and then you can see what it looks like to have one overinflated or underinflated. When you look at your tire, you can tell by the wear on it if you had it over or under for a long time. So, but if you're checking them every other tank of fuel like I do, physically checking them, and buy you a good tire pressure gauge. Don't buy one of the cheapos. Get you a good tire pressure gauge. It's worth the extra few bucks to get a good one to know exactly what you got. I use a digital one. I just like the digital versus the manual ones. It's a little more precise to me. But again, I bought a nice one. I didn't buy the $2 one at one of the box stores. Buy you a good one. Yeah, weather's another one. Most of you have experienced, got all your tire pressures right, and then you go off up in the mountain somewhere and the temperatures drop 30 degrees, and you come back out the next morning and your TPMS light is beeping at you and going off, or your monitoring system on your dash like mine is making all kinds of noise, and it's went down. Well, what happens when you got colder? The air in the tire, it compressed, so you don't have as much. When it gets warmer, it will expand and it will build the pressure back up. But you need to, if you're going to stay where you're at, you need to go ahead and put air in it. Don't depend on them warming back up. And then occasionally you're just going to have permeation, and permeation is, even though it's a tire and it's solid, it will lose air. And I don't know, a pound or two a month maybe, but they will lose air over time. Load weights, I got another thing here about load weights, but really you don't want to be towing anything. That's why I'm doing this video. Is you don't want to be towing anything with less than proper tire pressures. So make sure you're checking your tire pressures, and include your spare in that. The spare is the most overlooked tire in everything that we pull. And when you have the flat, it's kind of nice to have air in the spare too. And just because the spare looks good, again, go with the 6-year rule. On a spare, you're probably okay if it's been covered for 6 years. You're probably okay to use it for a spare, but I wouldn't use it to be going a long distance or leave it on there after I put it on. I just use it for a spare. But again, I replace my tires. When I replace the 4 on my trailer, I replace the 5th one. It doesn't, you don't have to buy them in pairs. I can buy them individually, so I just buy 5. Just do them all at one time. Again, it's peace of mind. You get off out in the middle of nowhere and you have a flat and you have to put the spare on, and you make it another 20, 30 miles and it's dry rotted and it blows out. Well, you ain't really helped yourself a whole lot, and another trailer tire is $100 something, so just call it insurance. When you're filling your tires, if you got a really high pressure tank, try not to overfill them. Fill them up a little bit at a time and then get them to the proper level. Don't be filling them up and go 10, 15, 20 pounds over and then have to let it back out. You're not really helping your tire by doing that. So get your routine and stick to it. Me personally, like I said, I do mine every other tank. So that's typically going to be every 600-700 miles is what 2 tanks is going to get me. Towing, now if I'm not towing, I can get almost 1,000 miles, but again, I'm not putting the pressure on them like I am pulling a trailer. So just get your own schedule, whatever it is that you think works for you. If it's every tank full, if it's every other tank full, for sure do it at least once a month. You need to look at them. But really, once you get used to your vehicle, I could walk around mine and I can tell you if they're within 10 pounds or so. If they're 10 pounds low, I can tell you just by the way the tire looks. But I've looked at them so long that you just kind of know. But invest in a TPMS system. They're worth it. They're getting cheaper and cheaper, and the one I got works really well. But don't depend on them. And I'm going to say this: depend on them going down the highway, but always do your visual walk around. But don't go out first thing in the morning and roll down out of the park or down the road or wherever you're going from for the first mile and go, well, I'll check them. If they're low, I'll stop. That's just not a good idea. You need to check them while they're cold before you start warming them up. And again, if you turn the tire pressure monitor system on and it's still registering, telling you what the pressures are, those pressures may not be accurate. They may just be from the memory from when you stopped the first time. They may not be accurate. Now mine, if mine goes to sleep, they actually have to wake up when you first start going down the road. It usually takes a mile or so, and then all the sensors wake up, and it keeps running the batteries down. I don't know if all of them are that way, but I know my particular one is. So anyway, I get out and physically check all mine. That's about all I can think about to talk about for tires. Again, I like to keep these short. You guys let me know. Do you like these unscripted? Just you get what you get with me. You guys let me know how you like this. I rather do the unscripted stuff like this. The unscripted is easy for me because I just get to sit here and talk to you, and it's kind of like sitting around the campfire and just talking about tires and what you should and shouldn't do. So you guys let me know if you like this format, or if you'd rather me do it a little more polished like we do some of the other videos. But comment down below and let me know. Also put down below, let me know what you guys would like to talk about. Put down a comment if I've missed something or if I'm wrong about something, because I very well can be wrong about something. That happens all the time. Okay, well, before I keep rambling, that's it for What's Up Wednesday. We'll see you next week. Make each day count 365 and continue the journey. We'll see you a little later. Bye-bye now.